Lil Taj, Lil Taj, Lil Taj.
J-Dub.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be doing a story time of me getting evicted. So I've had a lot of people asking me on my Instagram to do a story time about it, so I'm just going to finally clear the air and just get rid of all these assumptions and rumors going around. And yeah, so basically no, for one, no, I did not get evicted because I'm not paying rent or anything like that. Everybody knows I handle my business. I had nothing to do with why I got evicted. But I'm just gonna go straight right into it. And a little disclaimer, this is not to try to make anybody look bad. I'm just telling my truth of this whole story. And it's literally the truth of what happened and how I feel about it. So we're just gonna get right into this video. I don't want it to be too long. So yeah. So basically, I had this friend that I was very close with for some years, and keep in mind, she's my brother's ex. So we were another reason why we were close is because we were the same age. So yeah, basically after they broke up or whatever, we actually became really close. It was really weird, but we became really close out of nowhere and just started hanging out all the time. And when it was close to us thinking about moving together, she had a little situation going on. I'm not gonna put her business out like that, but she had a situation going on, and I was wanting to move out of my parents' place and get my own place because my parents were moving to a different state and I didn't want to go to that state. So I was we both came to the agreement, why not move in together? We get along really well. We hang out pretty much almost every day. Why not? Cool. So we were looking for apartments and stuff. Found one that was literally perfect. It was a 2-story, all that, a townhouse. It was beautiful. So we got the place, blah, blah, blah. I'm gonna just put this in there. I did put the place in my name for personal reasons, but the only reason why I'm mentioning this is so you can remember this for later on in the video. So before we actually moved in, I wanted to get some things cleared out with her, because with me, I'm I like people to a certain extent, but not to the point where I just want people always in my face. So to make things clear, because I know how she was at her other place, people were always coming in and going as they please. So I wanted to make sure that we were on the same page or whatever. I was texted her and was hey, so just to be clear, I'm not gonna be giving people keys to our place and stuff like that so they can come as they go, because if that was the case, that would defeat the whole purpose of saying it's our place or whatever. And she was no, none of that, blah blah blah. Okay, cool, we had an agreement about that. Then she came up with the idea that we would go half on groceries. Keep in mind, I didn't come up with this, and at first I was kind of a little questionable about it because we don't eat the same thing. So I was I don't see really the point at first, but then I was you know what, sure, let's just go. You know what, that's fine, we can go ahead and go half on groceries. Remember that as well. So we move into the place, everything's all good and dandy, blah 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 blah. Then a couple weeks go by and we go and get groceries. So what happened was we went to go get groceries. It was really late at night or whatever. And like I said, she said that we were gonna go half on things. I didn't come up with this, she did. So whenever it was time for us to check out, she was oh, let me screenshot this, I'm gonna pay you back as soon as I get paid, because she didn't have the money for it. I was okay, cool, whatever. I'm not the type of friend that's gonna just go off because you don't have the money. Handle your bills or whatever you gotta handle first. Cool, you can pay me back whenever. So a few weeks went by, and she had a best friend that was always over, to the point where it literally seemed like she lived there. And it was to the point where her friend would stay over even when I was leaving and when she was leaving. So it was to the point where she was just there whenever nobody was there, pretty much. And it was ongoing. And in our apartment complex, we have this policy where if somebody stays past 2 weeks, they technically have to be added on the lease, otherwise we could get evicted because it's a breach in our agreement. And the person knows this, so it was just crazy. So we had an agreement, and the reason I'm bringing this up is because eventually I started seeing her best friend walking in with the key. She had a key, and I'm confused because we had a whole agreement of not letting people just walk in when they want to, because that defeats the whole purpose of being out having your own place. And plus, I don't feel that's a privacy thing, if somebody is able to walk in and out of your place, especially when you're not there, you're gonna feel a little unsafe and just what, especially whenever we had a whole agreement about not doing that, because I know she used to do that her other place. So I was like, okay. So like I started to get a little agitated because it got to the point where it wasn't just her friends staying over every single day, and it wasn't just like she would stay over, leave, go home. She would stay over and stay for days and days and days and days till it started to go to weeks. So I feel like I had every right to be mad, and like I got to the point where I was like texting my friends like, hey, how would you feel if this and this happened? And like all my friends said the same thing. You know, I wasn't like overdoing it. With me, I like to ask other people what they would do in a situation, just to make sure that I'm like not like overreacting, you know. So all my friends were like, you have a right to be mad, you know, like that's your place and you shouldn't feel like you never have any space to yourself because people are always over, blah blah blah. Especially like when I'm not there, because no telling who she's bringing over while we're not there, you know. And like I don't have like a locker or whatever, or like a safe to put certain things that I don't want stolen in, you know, and anything can happen. So it was just to a point where it's getting like ridiculous. So basically like she started like having kind of parties or kickbacks every other week or whatever, and a couple of them I was okay with because we had this little program where we would help younger girls do better, not just like in school and like with a lot of other things, just to make young females become a better them or whatever. So we had like, we call them sisters or whatever, little sisters that would come over. Never had a problem with them, you know, they're my little sisters, love them to death. But it was to the point like sometimes she would have people always over without even letting me know about it, you know. So like there'd be times when I would come home and people would just always be over, and like there was always basically kickbacks at our place. And the reason why I had a problem with this is because, keep in mind, like I said, she's my brother's ex, so I have the decency, which I didn't have to do because it's my place, you know. I didn't have to do this at all, but I would always ask her like, is it okay if my brother can come over, blah blah blah, because my brother liked coming over our place. It was huge, beautiful, and he wanted a place to stay. He didn't want to always be at my parents' house. Keep in mind, I'm over here asking my friend if my brother can come over, somebody that's blood to me. But she never once asked me if anybody else could come over that was on her family side or friends or whatever, which I never expected her to, but I did it because they were exes. And I don't know, like with me, I have respect. So even though that was my brother, I really didn't even have to do that. But that's just, I was trying to make sure that we were always okay, because my mom warned me about like, you know, living with a female and how it can go south, even though she was for us moving in together. But still, I just wanted to make sure like we didn't ever have any problems or misunderstandings. So I tried to handle it as maturely as I could, and it still was not enough. So yeah, the kickbacks started happening, and then it was to the point where like people, I would be in her room or whatever, and people would be calling her, yo, what are you doing, blah blah, can I come over? And you know, like before we even moved in, she would always tell me, yeah, we're not gonna be having people over like that. I'm not gonna even let people know, you know, that I have a new place, because the last place she lived at, everybody knew where she lived at, so people were always over, you know. That's why I wanted to have that conversation with her, like, hey, we're not gonna be giving people keys and crap, because I don't, like, I have this thing where like I like my own personal space. I don't want people always over my place, you know. I like to have my own space where I'm just chilling, vibing. I don't have to worry about everybody being in my space, because I like to be around people when I want to be around them, not when I'm like forced to. That's just me. So that's why I asked her that. But it came to like where people were always over, and I just was getting so annoyed, because it's like, here I am, like at that time I was working 3:30 to 12 at night, so I would come home at like 12 at night, people were always over. So just imagine like having all these people over all the time, and you worked like a really late shift, and you just want to come home to peace and quiet, but yet you're like waking up to all this. So another thing, my boyfriend was always over, because like she was always having people over, and it got to the point where like I feel like I wanted him over a lot, because she would have guys over, and a lot of times they would either stay over or they'd be on the couch or whatever. So basically my boyfriend wanted to stay over, you know, because he wanted to make sure nothing happened to me, because I never knew the guys. I didn't know who they were. I only knew like maybe one or two of the guys. The rest of the guys I did not know. She knew them. And he was worried because he didn't want one of them to like just sneak in my room one night when I'm asleep, you know. So, and I can respect them for that, because like I said, I did not know these people. And when you're drunk or you're on drugs or whatever, I don't know what they were doing, but I do know they were drinking some nights. But just to be on the safe side, like he would stay over as much as he could for me, you know, just to make sure I'm straight and I'm okay, because I was always complaining to my mom and him and my brother about the situation. Like And I was to the point where like I just wanted to get her out of the place. Like it was to the point where I wanted to evict her. I'm not gonna lie, like I would use those terms. I want to evict her, I want to get her out, you know. The place was in my name, I had every right to. It was just like, and it wasn't just these little small things, you guys. It was like so many other things, but I don't want to put personal business out there. And yeah, because this is not to bash anybody, but that's what was going on at the time. Like it was getting pretty ridiculous. So now I'm gonna move on to the next situation. So one night, I actually, like, let me backtrack. So a week before I got diagnosed with respiratory infection, so I was on bed rest. I got put on bed rest by my doctor for over a week. And it was to the point where I couldn't get out of bed. I was extremely ill. I was losing weight and I wasn't eating. So my boyfriend took care of me that whole week. He was bringing me food. If it wasn't for him, like I would have lost so much weight, because I was literally, the medicine they had me on, I was literally on like 7 different medications, and they were all making me extremely, like, I had no appetite. So I'm just throwing that out there. So I'm about to tell you the scenario of like what really went down and why we got freaking evicted. Okay. So basically, my neighbor knocked on the door, and backtrack a little bit more. I keep forgetting to leave this out. So originally, before I got sick, her friends and me, we all decided that we wanted to go to a little kickback party and just to have fun or whatever. I got sick days before, so I obviously wasn't gonna go. And actually, I don't even think I was gonna go anyways, because it was like some type of theme and I didn't have the clothes for it, or I just didn't feel like looking for the clothes for it. So I wasn't gonna go anyways, because I was already feeling underneath the weather. So I didn't go. And she had a guy and 2 female friends over. And I know all of them, but they're her friends. Let me just put that out there. I know all of them, but they're her friends. Like, I only know them because of her. So basically, they all left and went to the party or whatever. Our neighbor comes and bangs on our door, and he's banging. My boyfriend opens the door and he's like, "Hey, whose car is this right here?" And we're like, "What are you talking about?" And so I think it was the guy's car that was her friend's car. So basically, he was like talking about he gonna call the police because he took his spot. All this crap. Keep in mind, this freaking neighbor has been harassing us since day one. He is obsessed with this car parking spot. And keep in mind, we don't even have freaking, what's it called, assigned parking at all. And I've asked the manager and the leasing offices, we don't have assigned parking. So I don't know why he was acting like that. And it was so annoying because he was harassing us almost every week about this stupid crap. I called her and let her know, "Hey, your friend needs to move his car because he over here threatening to call the cops and crap over a dang parking spot. Just move it or have him come over." So at first we were going back and forth because like they were like, "We're not about to move the car over a parking spot, blah blah." And like he sounded like so serious to the point where like he started talking about how he was a cop and he was gonna get his cop friends to come move the car, blah blah blah. I'm like, "Can you please come?" Because he over here threatening to call the cops over a dang parking spot. Just move your car. So her guy friend comes and he was asking me what happened, you know, like why is he so mad about a parking spot? And I'm like, I don't know. At this time, the neighbor was already back in his house. So her friend, the guy, goes to move his car. So I go back in the house because I'm sick. This is like, I'm really ill and like I'm over here dealing with this crap. So go back, I'm heading back up to my room or whatever, and all of a sudden I hear like loud arguing. And so I go back outside, and the neighbor came back outside, and apparently her friend told me that he said, "Yeah, move that piece of ish," which, yeah. And I'm like, what? Like, he acts like such a baby over a dang parking spot. So he started fighting words, started saying random fighting words for no reason. So obviously, her guy friend's gonna get out the car and they're gonna be arguing. So they're arguing back and forth, and they got to the point where also the girlfriend that is my friend, I know I don't want to give out names and I don't want to like make up fake names because I'm not gonna remember them, so I'm sorry, it's kind of confusing. But basically, like I said, there were 2 females and 1 guy. So one of the females is actually talking to the guy, so she was with him this whole time. So she's arguing back with the guy as well, and they're both arguing, and it got to the point where it was so loud that neighbors were coming outside. It was so embarrassing. Then the cops were actually called, and a security officer was called, blah blah blah. It was a whole lot of mess. And so when the cops came, like, he literally went back in his house, acting like nothing happened, was acting like everything was cool. It seemed like to me, like, for him to be acting like that, he had something like on his record or something, because you're acting all big and tough, and then when the cops come, you want to be all running back in the house and crap. It was just annoying. So long story short, her guy friend pulled out a gun on him before the cops even showed up. That's why another reason why the cops was called. And he pulled out a gun because he said it was self-defense, because the guy came up to him and looked like he was about to, you know, bust a move, and he felt like he was threatened, so he pulled out a gun. The gun apparently wasn't even on, you know, the trigger. It was on safety. That's what he said. But someone lied. One of the neighbors lied and said that he pointed the gun straight to his face and was gonna Glock it. That's how you know, like, it's somebody that just is petty, because for one, he never once put his finger on the trigger. Like, he held the gun and threw it on top of his car. Like, I watched him do this, so I know they were lying. It was ridiculous. But yeah, so that whole shenanigans happened, and it was very stressful, because I'm like, bro, we just moved here like not a month ago and already dealing with this crap. So like, I'm texting my friend, the person I live with, and I'm like, bro, we're gonna get evicted, we're gonna get evicted. Me knowing how nice places are, especially them with guns, I just know we're gonna get evicted. She's like, no, we're not. Calm down, we're not gonna get evicted. So basically, like, a couple days later passed by, our apartment lease manager calls me, and she's like, hey, I just wanted to talk to you about what happened the other night, blah blah blah. I'm like, oh crap. So she's like, unfortunately, when she said that, I already knew it was over with. She's like, unfortunately, we heard threats that the person, blah blah blah, and she said his name, glocked a gun at one of our neighbors, blah blah, and threatened to shoot him, whatever. And I was like, that's not true. He never even put the gun towards his face. He put it on top of his car to protect himself and to let him know, like, back up, because he feels threatened. And she didn't, like, she said okay, but clearly she believed the neighbors over me, so whatever. And she said that it was apparently like a breach in our apartment agreement, and that we would get evicted. She said they would try to get us on a warning, but it looks like more than likely we're gonna get evicted. So days passed later, and yeah, we got evicted because of that. So the whole reason why I got evicted is because my friend's friend pulled out a gun and the neighbors lied. But regardless, apparently we weren't even supposed to have guns on the property, even though I don't own a gun and she doesn't. But that's the whole scenario that happened with that. Now fast forward to once we are moved out, we have to pay a certain amount, because since it was a breach in our contract and we were so early on getting evicted, like, we had signed a lease for like 15 months, so that was like a year and almost a half. So thankfully we didn't have to pay like almost a year and a half month of rent. We only had to pay like a couple thousand or whatever. And she knew that. So basically weeks went by and I kept letting her know, like, hey, if we don't pay this amount, you know, it's gonna go on my credit, because everything was in my name. And she knew that. So after a couple weeks, like, literally she stopped talking to me, just acting really weird. And I was like, so why am I getting treated like it's my fault, even though, like, that was your friend? You know, just the whole situation was just really out of hand and weird. And like, she was just acting really weird and funny. Even her friends were, they were supposed to be my friends as well. So the whole situation was weird. It was like they were acting like it was my fault because of what happened, even though that was her friend, not mine. So then, like, a couple more weeks passed by, I hear nothing. And, you know, honestly, I'm not expecting her to, like, be able to pay up the money just right up front, but at least pay something, because if you don't, it's gonna go on my credit, and I don't want to have a freaking eviction on my credit, because I care about my credit. My credit is good. So I sent her a whole long paragraph explaining, like, I think this is messed up, you know, because for one, we got this place together. I did it because I wanted to help you, you know, being a good friend, and the least you can do is return my texts and stuff, because, you know what would happen if we got evicted. You know that there was a fee, you know, all of this. You've known this for months, because keep in mind, it's like months now. And like, after a certain date, they're gonna put it on collections, and I'm gonna be the one owing it. And like, I was letting her know all that, and like, she was just talking about nonsense when she responded, and it wasn't nothing I really cared about. And basically talking about how her family blamed her for the reason why we got evicted and stuff, and so she felt like I was mad, blah blah. And I'm just like, all I care about is getting this paid. I don't care about nothing else. I don't care about no feelings. I don't care about nothing else. I just care about getting this paid, because my credit is important. That's really all I care about. So basically, that's what happened. Still to this day, I still have not got any payment, and it's almost about to be a year in May. Yeah, next month will be a year, and still no payment. So I either have the choice of taking her to court or paying it myself. My mom even freaking mentioned that she would pay the the fee, which I think is ridiculous. Like, why would you pay something that has nothing to do with you? I'm not about to let her pay thousands of money on something that has nothing to do with her. That's between me and the person I was living with. And I still, like, I know there's some people who have told me, like, I should just charge her the whole amount because it wasn't even my fault, it was her friend's fault. But I'm even willing to negotiate and go half, you know, which I didn't have to do. But that's just that whole situation. I don't want to go into full detail, but that's where it is right now. Like, she'll keep promising me that she'll pay an amount and never do it. So I either just have to take her to court or just pay it on myself to make my credit score go up. But that's pretty much it in the whole story. I don't want to put out too much information because, like I said, this isn't to bash anybody. This is just to tell my part and my truth. But yeah, guys, so comment what you guys would do down below and how you feel about this situation, because I think it's crazy because how you can be like really close with somebody and help them out and do whatever, and then when something happens like this, it's like they just ghost you or they just act different. I don't know, it's just crazy. But that's my truth, and that's kind of the story. Like, I didn't want to come out here to bash anybody or anything like that. I'm not with drama, so I'm not gonna sit here and just put everybody's business out like that. But I just wanted to definitely just let you guys know the truth of what happened. Nothing like crazy, but at the same time, it's just a messed up situation. I felt really hurt because we were so close, and you wouldn't expect, you know, somebody to treat you that way, especially like ghost you when it's dealing with something so serious, you know, especially your credit. And I'm very, very like considerate and open-minded when it comes to someone's situation. But after a whole year, come on now, like, really, if you can go on trips and go make up parties and crap like you've been doing, you can pay your part. That's all I gotta say. But anyways, guys, if you want more story times like this, do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Follow me on social media. That's how you guys can interact with me. And I think that is it for this video, guys. So bye, guys.